2000, I've been working in inclusive setup, where I got an exposure in Shriram School, Delhi, where there was a learning center, and we were, few children were brought to our classes. So I was teaching mathematics. I was little apprehensive about, children coming there because I wasn't knowing anything. So I think that's when I got an opportunity. But before that, I would like to bring in this inclusiveness has come after we started tagging people. So I'm nobody to say whether tagging is good or not good. But we started tagging. I do remember when I was in school, there was a child with hydrocephalus where the head is really big, and there were students, and they were coming to the same class, and there was a child we used to call them handicapped. The girl could not walk. Mother used to carry and bring her. She used to sit next to me, and I think she was studying. She was given the complete, the schooling the way we were all getting. But then slowly the advancement of medical side and the scientific side, we started tagging people. The debate goes on in special needs where few support for tagging, few don't support for tagging. So I would not like to touch on the tagging, but since the tagging has been done, so we felt we need to have a special place for them to learn, where the facilities are given, where the teachers will go slowly, because the regular schools will go with the completion of syllabus. Though CBSE, ICSE board, CBSE board, they give a lot of leniency till 8th standard, but then the schools have their set of rules where they follow even NCERT books, where they have taken the classes, slowly upgraded the teaching, the learning and teaching levels. So now the point has come where we separated the children, all special needs. I would like to quickly update on special needs later. Now we feel the importance. Now what happens to the special needs where the children are born with a condition? I would like to just quote here, it is a condition, not a disease. Disease, whenever there is a disease, it is curable, it could be, but here it is condition. It is not curable till the lifelong, though people with dyslexia and all, people say they manage well, they're able to do well in their life, but that condition exists, that doesn't go. Learning disabilities are there, where it comes with the language, dyslexia with maths, dyscalculia, dysgraphia, they'll not be able to understand the space. The spatial understanding will be less. They'll not be able to write, or not only write, they will not be able to understand. If any small child, you give a ball, the child will open big, the hands are big. So these kind of things keeps happening. So, but for this child, it will be very difficult. And we have heard about autism, and we used to call MR, that is mental retardation. Now it has been renamed as intellectual disability, and Down syndrome and muscular dystrophies also. Then now I'm going to just bring in this inclusion part, where we feel, I'm also a special educator, we feel there are 4 characteristics, or they have categorized 4, like mild, moderate, severe and profound. Profound, you can, with the name, you can feel, you can understand that it will be very difficult. They need complete 100% support, or maybe 90% or 80% support. With severe also you need support. Now we work with the mild and moderate. They can be associated with the regular school. In inclusive, first and foremost is not one single person can work. That is the bottom line. It has to be a team. It cannot be one person. So I would like to bring one simple example of the previous school where I was working. I was heading. So there was a child who could not walk properly. So when I looked at the child, when I inquired or when I spoke to a few of the teachers, they said that he cannot walk slowly. He will go into, he will not be able to move around. His brother also had the same issue. So it was muscular dystrophy, even this child is facing. So what we did was, though it's a private school, we spoke to the management, wherein the child was supported. The lift was done up, though it was there, already the duct was there, but it was not operational. So the child could move to the classrooms. The classes were on the top floor. So that is one physical help. Another, we placed a helper, a female, who can, take him up, and he could not use the washrooms on his own. So a physical support was given to the child. So whenever it is required, the child has to, a boy who was in class 7, so could tell the teacher so that this help will comes out. Number 3, slowly he could not write because his hands were also hands had become rigid. He could not write. That was an issue. So the child was given a writer. You will say how you gave writer every day. Not for every day, but the notes and all, we used to do the photocopy and we used to give to the parents every day of every class. And whenever there is a small test or maybe kind of an assessment or an activity, we were given assistant teacher or librarian, someone whom we can take, or activity teacher used to go and help the child even for writing the exam. Now in this, what has happened, the child had gone for a treatment because parents felt it's mandatory to take the child to one of the ashrama. So they took the child. So the child, when child had come back, he missed out almost class 7 completely. But keeping the chronological age, we brought the child inside in the same class to make him feel that he is actually promoted to the next class. So he was also promoted. This is again as per the policy and educational policy. So now you can ask other things, like when it comes to language and social science to some extent he could manage. But when in mathematics he lagged behind, because the 7th standard you get a lot of concepts, basic concepts and all would have been done till class 5. From 6 the algebra starts, and 7 you start equations, and 7th he missed out a lot of mathematical topics. So what we did was, we gave the child the basic questions to practice. Though he was sitting in the class, the classwork was retained. Homework we told him to try to do. The parents will help. Number 3, all his assessments would be of a class 6 assessment or 7th standard beginning assessment. Now, people might ask, then how he will get upgraded? What we did was, we decided the easiest topic of mathematics. We gave extra coaching after the school hours. We took permission from the parent, and parent would also accompany him during the class. So we taught them only few topics where he can actually score marks with the regular questions. So when it came to the midterm, the boy could take the same question paper. He got 18 marks for the same question paper. We didn't give a different question paper. So at the end, he got 28 or 29. So he was promoted to class 9. So this kind of support we were giving the child now must be in class 10. I am sure the same support is continuing. Theoretically, there are so many things which has been said to do the inclusive, but when it comes to this, I would like to quote here. That is, number 1 is initially reduce the syllabus so that child is comfortable, instead of pushing the child and making the parent also feel comfortable. Okay, the child is able to do, get something. And when you give a different paper, parents are also paranoid. Even child also feels, oh, why there is a difference. So slowly upgrade. First prepare them and upgrade them. So this is one. So I would like to bring another example here, where there was a child. I was heading a special school also in New Delhi. So that time there was an autism, I won't call child, man, I can say 24-year-old man. So he was brought to the school where he was profound. Severe, I won't say profound. So he couldn't talk, he couldn't communicate, all the things. Every time he would use, he used to keep biting both the arms, So that's the only thing he was doing. So you can see, you can feel this whole place was, it used to bleed. It was so ugly to even see. I'm so sorry to use this word. I don't get the right word. So now what happened? When we were doing, even we were not knowing how to do. Now, I had called, because a lot of friends are there in the same field or maybe education. So I was just talking to one of the friends. So she gave an idea to put the child's hand forcibly into a bowl where all the atta, the wheat powder is there. Ask him to just forcibly keep applying. So when we started doing, slowly, this boy started, reacting to it. So when we used to bring the ball with the atta, he was quiet. So he was, trying to pick it up and do things. Slowly we changed his behavior. Now here the behavior modification happened where the child could apply atta on his own. Then we moved into besan, the Bengal gram powder, and then slowly we took him to the doctor where completely it was cured. Okay, here I would like to bring 2 points here. One is, we'll have to look into the behavior of a child. A child who is in the class, not only academics, maybe the child has not been able to express. A child who's having learning disability, maybe the child is dyscalculia, maybe dyslexic, or could not understand things. Here, the behavior changes. So this is one kind of identification a teacher can easily, spot the child out. In this, one more thing I would like to bring and coming back to this point, one need to discuss with everybody. Now, what happens with teachers, like even I'm also basically a teacher, when we start teaching, it just comes to us naturally, even whatever subject you are teaching. So I was teaching mathematics, it was just coming to me. So, suppose if I cannot solve any problem, inside the class, of course I will ask excuse, but then that kind of an inhibition comes to discuss with the other teachers or other people. Now, I would like to insist in inclusive education, please discuss with others. Tell everybody exactly what the problem you're facing, leaving all the inhibitions, or maybe, what your fellow teacher will think, what, your principal will think, or maybe, your parent, or maybe your husband, or maybe your wife, just discuss. Maybe some, point will spark out and it will come out, so that you can utilize that. I brought that point about, behavior modification. So this I would like to quote another example wherein the child was admitted in nursery, a small little girl. She came to LKG class. So everybody said this child is very quiet. In nursery, it's only oral. So it did not emerge, whatever the issues were. In LKG, when we started doing the patterns, the writing of patterns, it emerged where the child could not follow anything. Now there was a teacher in my school. She was there only for a year. She was actually good in identifying children, or maybe it was just coming to her naturally. She identifies. She is not looking into her eyes. She's not looking at her even when she's being called by name. So that's when we had a meeting with the parent. Now, please involve parent. This is fourth point I would like to bring in. Please involve parent. Tell everything. Communicate everything to the parent. Talk to them, take them into your, all discussions. So when we call the parent also felt, yes, the child is quiet at home. Even when we call 2-3 times only she comes, she's very quiet because they had another issue, another small little baby, sorry. So, they were also happy because this girl is not troubling, they were, investing all the time on this small little toddler. So now we told the parent also to observe. So we did not jump into conclusion immediately. We told the parent also to, monitor and maybe record it or maybe note it down in the mobile or maybe on a piece of paper. So even teacher also, we took almost 15 to 20 days to just to note it down with the next meeting. So when we had the next meeting, almost it was synchronizing where the child, generally the theory says autism is more in the boys and very less, maybe 1 or 2% in the girls. So, but this girl had it, but we did not tag the child immediately. So we spoke to the parent. We all of us agreed. The child was sent to a clinical psychologist who's capable of doing and who is authorized to tell what kind of category this child. Very sorry to use this word, but this is how we work. So the report was brought to us. So we even included that clinical psychologist. All of us sat. So it is again a teamwork. Of course, laws will help the special educators to push the children into mainstreaming, but actually it should come from within. What I felt, that's why I started my talk where there was no segregation, there was no categorization, there was no tag given initially. So, it was all understood, okay, everybody goes to the same formal setup, where the formal setup where we learn, we go to the school and we learn. But now, since we have categorized or maybe we have tagged, now obviously there are so many laws. I would like to bring in a few more points which will help the students also. If the child is not doing well in academics, immediately don't jump into the conclusion the child is, maybe special needs. That also happens. Now we observe the children, both of them in the activities also. We made them write, In fact, we developed a learning lab where children can just do themselves, let them do anything. They can, throw things. It was all soft toys kind of a thing. Even any class children can go. So Even then we felt the children, little not playing with others, though they were conversing well, but could not, throw the ball, this kind of thing. So we brought the children and we called the parent, and when we were talking, the parent both of them were aggressive. They did not want to listen to, because they had an elder children who really topped the school, boy. It can happen to anybody. Probably these children were let issue. It could be any reason, but the parents did not want to accept there is an issue. So we requested them. We had session. No, we don't do it alone. With the head, with the psychologist and a school teacher, class teacher and activity teachers. All of them we sat together and we had session. We told them, at least you observe. The parents did not want to observe. So when they came again after 20 days, they refused. They did not bring any kind of observation of theirs. But then we had the record. So when we told them, they were not listening to accept at all. So again, we had another session. We said, at least talk to the clinical psychologist, just meet them. They refused. Most important is communication to the parents, and understanding of the parents also play a role. That is what it's a, not one person can do or one side can do. In a school, one hand is holded by a school means another hand with the parent. I'm not saying parents should sit and do it, but at least they can consider, they can, start observing the children. So this is one, example I would like, life example I would like to bring, where, see, when you refuse, nobody can help. When you at least think about it, maybe there is something. We can at least work on it, how to, teach the children how to live in the society. See, education is, if I say informally, education is something, but how to live in the society comfortably, isn't it? Whether work-wise, whether you earn or how you live comfortably. So the children could have definitely benefited, but withdrawing the children from the school, I'm not too sure how this is going to help the both of them. So this also exists. So it is little difficult when we talk about inclusiveness.